So, welcome friends. Welcome you to yet another video lecture series on design and analysis of algorithm. In today's lecture, let us discuss about the notion of an algorithm. So, I hope everyone is aware of what algorithm is, right? So, from this picture, what do you observe? In the first picture, the person is trying to solve a Rubik's cube. In the second picture, the person is or the student is trying to solve a mathematical problem which is 9 into 9 or 9 square. So what does both these pictures depict? They in these both pictures they are trying to solve a problem. So this is what we identify from this picture, right? Yes. So this is about solving a problem. So this picture is about solving a problem. So how do we solve a problem? Do we have any specific method? Yes, those methods are called as problem solving methods. And for effective problem solving, we have certain fundamentals which we have discussed in the previous lecture. So, what is meant by an algorithm? An algorithm is a sequence of unambiguous instruction. What is meant by unambiguous? So, by means of unambiguous, it is nothing but the algorithm should not be congested or it should not be vague. The algorithm should be easy to understand. The set of instructions should be easy to understand, which helps in effective problem solving. So only if it is easy, you will be able to obtain the required output for the given legitimate input in finite amount of time. So this is what the notion of algorithm is about. So we will decide on the problem to be solved for which we design an algorithm. So the algorithm is converted into a computer program using any programming languages like C or C++ or Python like that. So once the program is done, we give a legitimate input to that program which generates the required output. So this is what notion of algorithm is about. So what are the properties of algorithm? As we have discussed in a slide before, it has to be unambiguous, which means that none of the step of the algorithm should be compromised. The second step is that the range of input which is given to the algorithm has to be specified carefully. So we cannot simply say like certain input will be given for this algorithm. So we have to specify the range. For example, the size of the input is 10 or the size of the input is 20. Like that, we have to specify the exact range of inputs to the algorithm. And the third step is there is not only one way of representing an algorithm. For example, if you consider the factorial problem, we can write iterative version as well as recursive version for solving the factorial problem. So the same algorithm can be represented in different ways according to your convenience. So for solving a particular problem, not only one algorithm is available, there are several algorithms available. For example, if you want to find the shortest path between the source to destination, we have many algorithms like Prim's algorithm, Kruskal algorithm, and Dijkstra's algorithm, which all deals with finding the shortest path. So, whereas the problem is the same. So, the problem is about finding the shortest path, but we have various algorithms. So, for a same problem, there may exist several algorithms. So, this several algorithms are defined based on different ideas, and they can solve the problem with dramatically different fields. So then the speed at which the algorithm solves the problem need not be same. So these are the characteristics of an algorithm which is being designed. Initially, we have to specify the inputs. The input can be either 0 or n. So the quantity of the input has to be specified, and output. So how at output quantity has also to be specified. If it generates one quantity or many, it has to be specified. And by means of definiteness, the algorithm steps has to be definite. That is, it should be clear and easy to understood. And by means of finiteness, the algorithm should terminate in finite amount of time. So it should not loop. So the main property or the main characteristic of algorithm is that it should not loop. So it should terminate in finite number of steps. And the last characteristic is efficiency. And by means of efficiency, as we have discussed in the previous lecture series, it deals with time and space complexity. So the algorithm should be able to run in short span of time. So these are the various characteristics of an algorithm. So which is pictorially represented as shown here. So it should contain well-defined inputs, it should contain well-defined outputs, and the algorithm steps should be clear and unambiguous, and it should be finite, and it should be language independent, which is the main criteria that you need to check. The algorithm you are designing should be language independent. In other words, so it should not be suitable only to be coded in C program, or it should not be suitable only to be coded in Python. So it should be language independent. You should be able to program or code the algorithm in any of the programming language of your convenience. And the last one is feasible. So it should be feasibility is about the efficiency. It should be able to execute in a finite span of time. So what are the steps for writing an algorithm? As you are aware, the algorithm is a procedure. So the head section consists of the keyword algorithm followed by the algorithm name, and inside the parenthesis you will specify the parameters, input parameters, to be more precise. So first you will describe the problem, then you will specify the range of inputs, and you will give an idea of what the output should be like. And inside the body part, you can use looping statements or control statements wherever it is required. So if you are using any of the loop or control statement, for example, if I'm using for loop and it should terminate with end for, and if I'm using a while loop, it begins with while statement and it should be terminated with end while. So likewise, each of the loops and the control statement should be terminated with its respective pair. And the brackets we are using should also be terminated properly. All the statements should be enclosed within curly braces. None of the other brackets should be used for specifying compound statements. This has to be clear. So read and write command is used to receive input and print the output. Read command is for receiving the input and write command is for specifying the output. And the variables, if you are using, it should begin by a letter and not by any digit. But it can contain alphanumeric letters, but the first letter has to be an alphabet and not a number. So these are the various steps in which you can design an algorithm effectively. So when designing an algorithm, you keep in mind about the characteristics so that you will be able to define an effective algorithm. Thank you.